Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're well. Speaking to you today from the town of Folkestone, near just the south of England. As you can see here behind me is actually quite a calm sea, but also behind me over here we've got a beautiful Grand Hotel, the Grand Hotel in Folkestone. Quite an amazing thing, as you can see there, by the way. Apparently, the author Agatha Christie, who you might have heard of, she's a famous author of crime novels. She spent some time here, as a matter of fact, writing some mystery novels. Anyway, let me talk to you now about the markets and Bitcoin. So I'm just going to walk down this path here because it's a bit of a wind where I was standing. All right, guys, let's talk about the markets. So obviously, as I'm sure you know by now, Bitcoin and the stock markets are correlated, and the correlation is positive. So we've seen before how when the markets go up, it pushes up Bitcoin, and when the markets go down, it drags Bitcoin down with it, which is not probably a good thing, but it is what it is. So what this means is, obviously, you should pay very close attention to what's happening to the S&P, to the stock markets, because what happens to the stock markets could very well correlate and impact Bitcoin price as well. Now, what I want to talk to you about in this video is draw your attention to about 2 or 3 danger factors or danger warning signals that I'm looking at right now. Let me tell you about the first one. The first one obviously is what's called the fear index or the volatility index, the VIX. So take a look at the chart of the VIX. I've been keeping a close eye now on the VIX, the fear index. By the way, the fear index is not really perhaps a very good term or word for this index. It should really be called the uncertainty index. The more uncertainty there exists in the markets, in the financial markets, the more likely it is for the VIX or the fear index to rise. So we see the VIX rising and going up when there's more uncertainty or volatility in the financial markets. That of course means this: when the fear index or the VIX goes up, that often puts downward pressure on the markets, on the S&P, and also perhaps even Bitcoin as well. So obviously I'm interested to know what's going to happen to the VIX in the next few days and weeks. You can see that the VIX, the volatility index, has been stuck in this range, in this channel now for some time. The upper part of this channel is about 30, and I'm interested to see whether the VIX can actually break this channel to the upside. Because here's the thing: if it does break it to the upside, if it, for example, breaks above 30, that could potentially be an early warning signal of something perhaps negative happening to the markets, the financial markets, the stock markets, and of course potentially Bitcoin, because of the correlation between them. So I'm going to keep an eye on this one to see if the VIX can actually break, if it can break to the upper part of that channel above 30. The second major market I'm watching, by the way, is the dollar, the US dollar. You're probably wondering, well, what's so interesting about the US dollar? Here's why. Usually when there's uncertainty in the markets, when uncertainty arises, there's a flight to safety. And that, of course, usually means that money comes out of risk and goes to the relative safety of the dollar. That, of course, makes a lot of sense. As people sell their stocks, sell their risky assets, money obviously goes into cash. So, for example, the US dollar. By the way, there's a lot of people out there who think mistakenly that when stocks go down, that gold has to go up. So there is this assumption by some people out there who think that gold goes up when the stock markets suddenly plunge or go down. That is absolutely not true. In fact, there's been a lot of studies done on this, and they found no correlation between a falling stock market and a rising gold. It just doesn't exist. Actually, the opposite is true. Usually when the stock markets plunge and go down, it drags gold and silver potentially down with it. Why? Because as the stock markets crash and go down, traders often sell their gold to raise cash, to cover their losses. So this simply is not true. When the markets go down, gold goes up. Actually, usually the dollar goes up when markets go down. So keep an eye on the US dollar here, because I've seen the US dollar slowly rising. It's like a little creature right now, slowly rising, and I want to know what's happening here with the US dollar. Is it going to continue rising, for example? If the dollar continues to rise above 94, it might be an early warning signal that, you know what, money is going into cash, which means investors out there probably getting a bit nervous, right? Now, the third market I'm keeping an eye on is bonds. Now, most of you know by now from my previous videos, bonds is the market that knows all. Now, the kind of bonds I'm referring to here are Treasury bonds. Okay, Treasury bonds often go inverse to the stock markets, usually. Usually when there's more uncertainty, more volatility in the market. So when investors and traders are expecting more volatility and uncertainty, money often goes into the relative safety of bonds. So as I mentioned before, guys, usually in times of uncertainty, money goes out of risk, out of stocks, and goes into the relative safety of the US dollar and bonds. So I'm keeping an eye on TLT right now, 20-year treasuries. Keep an eye on this chart, by the way, because if TLT breaks last week's high, if TLT starts breaking the highs of last week, that might be interesting. That might be a sign perhaps that investors are pricing in uncertainty and more volatility, and potentially that could put downward pressure on the stock market. We'll have to wait and see on this one. And by the way, if these three warning signals all come together at the same time, that could be very interesting, and we might potentially see some downward pressure in the stock markets if these warning signals continue to accelerate. All right, guys, I hope this video helps. I'm going to go and take a look at what's happening by the seaside. Cheers, guys. Bye now. And guys, before I finish the video, let me just say that my good friend Charlie Burton, who, by the way, in case you don't know, he's one of the best traders that I know. Out of all the traders out there, he's probably one of the few traders whose judgment I trust. So the good news is my good friend Charlie Burton has just launched his own signal service. So a trading signal service, and if you are interested to find out more information about it, Charlie has prepared a video you can watch about his signal service, and it's on that link you can see there. And also the link is in the description as well. So go ahead and check out the video, and if it's something that appeals to you, you can sign up for it. And by the way, guys, you can use that particular promo code. There's a promo code which is Bravo1 to get a 40% discount, about a 40% discount on his signal service. All right, guys, thanks very much indeed. I look forward to seeing you in the next video update. Cheers. Bye for now.